Hello, Serious Robotics and Technology here, and today we're going to look at how to change a tool and a work object on a line of code that's already been taught. So a situation such as if you write a routine or program and then you go back and look at that program and you realize, hey, wait a minute, I put the wrong tool, have the wrong work object on this line of code, how do I fix it? Well, some people think that you can just tap the line of code and change it. And let's look at this right here. If we go into our program editor, I'm going to go to my debug menu, PP to routine, and I'm going to go into a routine I've already written called routine 1. And inside routine 1, we can see I've got a series of moves here. But the problem is I've taught everything with tool 0 and work object 0. And I was supposed to use tool 1 and work object 1. So it might seem like I can just tap this section. I can come here and I can change it. There's tool 1. Let's hit OK. And then if I were to try to run this line of code in a real situation, what would happen would be you'd get an error from the robot. And that's the best case scenario, because the importance of the tool on a line of code is one of the most important factors on that line of code. The tool and the work object. When I taught this point P10 right here, when we teach this point, so we jog the robot to the position, we drive it to the position we want, and then we add a line of code. We add instruction, add our move type in, and we give it a name, in this case P10. So when I taught this position in space, P10, the robot's not remembering, not for this type of move, not for a move J. It's not remembering the axis angles. What it remembers is how far this tool, how far the TCP of this tool is from the origin of this work object. So there's a big difference between the distance on the X, Y, and Z axis, how far tool 0 is from work object 0, than how far tool 1 is from work object 1. Now we're going to go much more in depth on that on some future videos coming up very shortly. But first, let's look at the proper way to change these, and then we'll come back and we're going to go more in depth on why it's so important. All right, so when I look at my program and I see that I have the wrong tool incorporated into this line of code and the wrong work object, it's actually a fairly easy fix, but you have to follow this process. If you leave any of these steps out, it will not work. It simply will not work. So let's start here at home. So what I would do would be select the line I need to change. All right, in this case, let's say I want to change P20. I want to change P20 from tool 0 to work object 0. So what I do is I highlight P20, I hit my, debug button and hit PP to cursor. When I hit PP to cursor, notice it moves my program pointer over here to the line of code my cursor was on. So now all I do is I engage the dead man and I press my step forward button, and we can see here that my robot ran to that position. And I can tell the robot's there because I have my robot icon right here. Now, when my robot has physically made it to this position, once it's made it to this position, then I can make the changes I need to make. But I have to make sure the robot's in this position first. So now that the robot is physically at P20, I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to change my tool to tool number 1, and I hit OK. And I'm going to go ahead and change my work object to work object number 1, and I hit OK. Now, next, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to activate those under my quick set button down here, or my options button. When your quick set button is your shortcut button. It gives you shortcuts to the most commonly used options. Now notice up here I have tool 0 and work object 0 active in my frame menu right here. Now I'm not going to change them. Watch what happens when I try to modify this position with tool 1 and work object 1, and I have tool 0 and work object 0 here. This operation cannot be undone. Modify. Boom. Got an error right there. Unable to modify the position. Reason, wrong tool selected. So it's not going to let me modify this until the tool on the line of code matches up to what I have selected right here. So now all I have to do, I just need to select the proper tool and the proper work object there. And now I have tool 1 and work object 1, tool 1, work object 1. So now I can modify this position. Since I drove my robot to P20 and the robot is exactly where I need it to be, after I change the tool and the work object and make sure I activate them, now I can hit modify position, tap modify, process complete. So if I want to change the next, let's say I'm going to go down here to P40. So I'm going to tap P40, I'm going to hit debug, I'm going to hit PP to cursor, program pointer to cursor, and I'm going to hit step forward to see my robot come to this position. Step forward, and there we go. So now my robot is at P40. Now with my robot at P40, I can change anything I need to change and modify the position as long as I do it correctly. So I'm just going to tap the tool again, tool number 1, work object 1. Then, see, I need to activate those again. So I'm going to activate tool 1 and activate work object 1. We'll talk about why that happens in another video. All right, so now I just hit modify position. This can't be undone, we know that. Modify, process complete. So now let's go back in the code a little bit. I skipped over this line right here. So I'm going to highlight the line. Do not hit step backwards. I'm going to PP to cursor. I'm going to step forward to P30. And as you can see, my robot made it to P30. Now that my robot's here, all I have to do to make that change is tap it. Okay. Change my work object. Work object 1. Okay. Modify position. Modify. Oh, I've got the wrong one selected. I forgot to do the main thing here. Thing I always talk about. Modify position. Modify. Boom. There it is. So as long as you drive the robot to that line of code, run it to that line of code. Once you're at that line of code, tap the line of code so that you highlight it. Then make any change you need to make on it and hit modify position. Just make sure if you're changing your tool and base that you have them activated here too, or you'll see that error that we saw. And we're going to get a lot deeper in the tool, and we're going to look at exactly how to teach a tool using a couple of different methods. But that's coming up in future videos, trying to keep these a little short. So hope the video helps out. Check out the channel. We got a lot more coming up. And for now, Cirrus Robotics out.